Hello, hello. Here's another voiceover yoga class for all of those who like them better. We're starting in Shavasana and just resting the hands on the thighs or knees. And you could bring the hands to the chest and stomach. I always give that as an option, just to feel the breath more, to notice that it goes into the stomach. We're using the diaphragm because I want you to now blow out a candle through your nose. So strong breath in, or normal breath in, and a strong exhalation through the nose. So you don't need the hands where they are. If it helps you, then great. But we could also bring our hands into Gyan Mudra with the thumb and four fingertips touching and the remaining fingers stretching away, and just push out. And this is now completely up to us. So we want to start with Kapalbhati, but it doesn't have to be that typical bellows breath. So just pushing the air out in any way you like. And then whenever you're ready, the right thumb goes to the right nostril. We breathe in through the right, through the left, and out through the right. And in through the right, out through the left. Just a few rounds of alternate nostril breathing. And it's up to you whether you want to hold your breath or whether you just want to move through this. I also at this stage wouldn't be, too prescriptive about a ratio. Just breathe in through one nostril, maybe hold, breathe out through the other. Just making sure both nostrils are open at this time of year, depending on when you see this video. But a little hint there, to my left, there's a bit of Christmas decoration. So yeah, just making sure we're starting this right with a lovely breathing pranayam, breathing technique, to make sure our breath is not just something we're aware of, but it's also ready. Both nostrils are working for us. There's that equilibrium between the right and the left. And always remember, expanding on that ratio, you want to make sure that every part of the breath is still comfortable. So if you feel like you can breathe in for much longer, but the exhalation then becomes a problem, then if you're using a ratio, in for 1, hold for 4, out for 2. But again, absolutely not necessary. It's getting you to a point where you're guiding the breath in a natural way, and you're then aware of the breath. Once we don't do Anulom Vilom or Nadi Shodhan anymore. And finish that round you're on. And whenever that is, just relax the hands. Can be back in Gyan Mudra. And slowly guide your chin towards your left armpit. The hand can help but doesn't have to. Over to the other side. Again, hand is optional. If you feel quite tight already, you may not need that extra bit of pressure or heaviness at all. And then ear to shoulders, starting on the right. Shoulders relaxed. And then left ear to left shoulder. Good, now chin to chest. Lengthen the neck. Slowly make our way into Matsyasana. So we bring that right foot over to the left side and twist, opening up to the right. As you can see, probably I'm binding here, but that's obviously not necessary. You can just hold on to that top knee. And then over to the other side, and we bow down. The knee stays high. We just stay here for a few breaths. Perfect, well done. Well done me, because I can't see you. And we'll do the other side, Ardha Matsyasana, seated twist. Opening up to the left side. turning the torso only as much as is possible, obviously. And that bind is fairly deep, or can be fairly deep. It goes deeper as well, so you could bring it to the outside of the left leg completely. But, you know, for a start, this is just for us to warm up. We turn over to the right side and drop the head and torso. And then slowly come back up. Now staying on that side, the bottom foot comes a little bit further forwards. The left heel rests on the right knee, and we move into the neck. Just opening up into the hip a little bit, and then we change sides. So this is more like a box, so Agni Stambhasana, but a gentle version of it. And we roll into the shoulders. And from here we make our way onto all fours. No, we don't. I'm completely wrong. This is why I don't like voiceovers. We sit on our heels and move into the wrists, opening and closing, so flexing the hands, raising the fingertips, spreading the fingers wide as well, and then going up and down, and then the same with hands and fists. And then we come onto all fours. See, I knew I was going to do that. Now shifting our weight forwards and back a little bit, sitting all the way back, coming forwards to feel that strength in the wrists and the shoulders and arms. And then your left hand comes to the right so that your thumbs touch. Then that right hand goes over so that your pinkies touch, and you send the right leg to the back. Just balancing here. If it's too difficult, just keep the hands in that normal position. And we change sides, so left leg goes up, the hands stay as they are for the moment. Noticing which side is maybe a little bit easier than the other. And of course that depends on which arm we're crossing over. So same now on the other side, right hand to the left hand over, so that your little fingers touch. And we're starting with the left leg here, raising the left leg. And staying stable. And what do you have to engage for that? Now right leg goes up. And we release. Hands back into their usual position, but then we send the fingertips towards the knees. If it's too much, obviously not as far, we can be in a diagonal position. We arch and round. And because that is quite deep, we keep it to one. We bring the tops of the hands onto the ground, fingertips inwards. That's also a little bit much maybe for some. So one hand after the other is fine as well. And then we bring the fingertips onto the ground, arching and rounding here as well. Hands come back down and fingers turn out to the sides. And fingers turn inwards, and we bend the arms and drop down, forehead to the ground. And we push ourselves back up. And then hands back into their usual Bharmanasana position. We inhale, raise the right leg, arch. Exhale, hip stays low as the knee goes to the shoulder. And we do a few more like that. Keep the knee high, keep your hip high. So we're trying not to let it drop. And maybe another one. And then we're going to drop that knee back to the ground and change sides, raising the left leg and arching, raising the head. And as we are rounding, but we don't bring the knee to the dropped head as we often do. We bring the knee towards that left shoulder on this side. Obviously you can't see as well, which is why I was clever enough to start with the right. And then release the left knee back into Bharmanasana. We arch our back, look up, round our back, drop the head, move the hips from side to side and over to the right heel, and then over to the left heel, and then back to the, so we left heel, we tuck the right toes under and push that knee up so that the foot is on the ground. And then we can also bring that right hand to the knee if we want, but we can also bring the arm up and over to the back or over to the front onto the left hand, whatever feels nice here for you. It should be a nice good stretch. up and over to the other side. So tucking the left toes under, pushing the heel towards the right, the hip towards the right heel. And again, that left hand, arm does whatever it wants, finds a nice position to stay in. And release. Going a little bit into the body here, into the hips, the back, and then forearms come to the ground and we drop our head and chest. Now, I would suggest staying with the forehead on the ground, but if it comes very naturally to you and it's not too early for this in the class, the chin can come to the ground, but only if your chest is comfortable on the ground. You want your hips right above your knees. So it's quite a deep one for the beginning, and there's no need to overdo it. And there's a few things we'll be doing in this class that are quite considered advanced postures, but as we know, we don't always have to take them so deeply, so we try and stay away from how we think the posture should look and just go somewhere that works for us in this moment right now. Now slowly release, hands come back down and you push yourself up. Again, round will probably feel nice. And then bring your right arm over to the left side. Send your left arm to the front and keeping the hand on the ground. So open the palm to the ceiling, slide that hand along the ground to the right side. So top of the fingers should be on the ground. Come back onto all fours, and then from here bring our left arm over to the right side, and that right arm here you can see a little bit better. So hand stays on the ground, top of the hand stays on the ground. We slide it as far towards the back of us as we can. Not as we can, as far as is comfortable. As always, that's more important than what is possible. So where do you actually want to be? Not what can you do. And back. On all fours, we round the back, we move a little bit, shakey shake, and then roll into your shoulders. You can make this deeper. I don't think I'm giving that as an option, but you can make this stronger, obviously, by tucking the toes under and raising the knees off the ground. I'm giving that option here without the movement of the shoulders. So here I want you to spread your shoulder blades apart, as you would in a plank. And then we push up into Parvatasana or mountain pose or downward dog. Which, as a reminder for those who are new, I learned as bringing the head to the ground in this position. So very different. A small but significant difference. Raise your right leg on an inhale. Point your toes. You can move a little bit into your toes and your ankle. And keep that right shoulder, the left one as well, but especially the right, from coming forwards. Flex your foot, drop the heel to the buttocks. And then all the weight in the left hand, arm, shoulder. We grab hold of that right foot with the right hand. Head stays dropped if you're going for that, so that we can keep ourselves from tensing up our neck. And then hand comes down, foot follows, we step to the front, we bring the left heel to the ground, and we'll come up into our first warrior with a little change of the hands. We interlock the hands, push the palms to the ceiling. For me, actually, you can't see that, but I'm in a conservatory. And then over to the back a little bit. Feels nice in the shoulders, I think. Or will feel good in them, even if it doesn't right now. Close the eyes here if we wanted. And then from here, I would open the eyes for this one. Hands to the ground, drop your head. So that's the one of the advanced postures that I was talking about. Standing splits doesn't have to look like this, doesn't mean that in the Sanskrit. So don't worry where your leg is, how high it is. Just get a sense of your balance here. So if you want, bring your hands to your ankle, to your lower leg. And then step that left leg to the back, hands on the ground, and relax into Anjaneyasana, raising the arms, and then pull your left wrist to the right side. Let yourself sink down a little bit. But obviously the hips are aligned so that you're not losing your balance. Now open up to the left side. You may hold on to your left foot here and push the right knee out in case it's dropping inwards with your right arm. And we release to come back into Parvatasana. And we inhale, raise the left leg. Same thing here, even though you can't see my toes. That's unhelpful. Move into the foot and keep your shoulders from coming forwards, both of them, but especially that left one. And then flex your foot, drop the heel. Your right arm is the one that is going to carry you here. That is going to keep you from coming forwards. So raise that left hand, grab hold of the foot, push that heel towards the buttock. And release. We step to the front. We ground our right heel so that we're coming up into the first of the warriors. And again, same thing with the hands. We interlock the hands, push the palms up and then towards the back. You may or may not decide to close the eyes here. Slowly release the hands to the ground, raise your right leg, drop the head. So think of this as more targeting the relaxation in the spine and letting the head drop, just being in that, opposite. It's obviously not a handstand, a headstand, but the same thing applies. We have the head up all the time. The head is the highest part of the body. Here it isn't, and that's great. Hands to the ground, step the right foot to the back, drop your knee, coming into Anjaneyasana. Son of Anjana, water nymph. And we grab hold of the right wrist this time to pull it over to the left side. And keep your right hip heavy here. And back to open up to the right side. Same as before, that hand could grab hold of the right foot, but it really doesn't have to. It's just another option. And we bring the hands to the ground. We step to the back, coming back into Parvatasana or Adho Mukha Svanasana. And we roll forwards into a plank, which will hold for a few breaths. Remember not to sink into your shoulders. Then from here we open up, raising the right arm and sending it to the front, where I'm greeted by some needles. Feet on top of each other, hips push up. You may look up to the ceiling. Let's see what's possible. And back into a plank and straight over to the other side, raising the left arm and sending it to the front. Feet on top of each other, hips stacked. And that right hand roughly underneath the shoulder. If it's too far away, it may just be too much of a strain on the wrist. I think in light on yoga, the hand is not aligned there at all, so everyone's obviously different. I'm a Vata body type. We tend to have slightly less. Sorry, let me just explain what I'm doing here. So a half Chaturanga Dandayam, low, high. Just find a place where you can hold. So yeah, more delicate bone structure for those that are of that Vata constitution. We come down all the way, chin and chest to the ground, and can stay in Ashtanga Namaskar, meaning 8 parts still touching the ground. But we can also interlock our hands here, move the knees a little bit further forwards and raise the toes. And who would I be if I stop there? Raise that right leg if you want. And the hands are interlocked, so it's a nice little stretch here for your chest, and feels good in the shoulder blades. But it can be quite a lot. So I remember when I was recording that earlier that I felt a little bit wobbly on the other side. So if you feel like you're too wobbly, then don't worry too much. You want to make sure that you're not overdoing it, meaning that your breath is comfortable here. There we go. So you want to make sure that you're not overdoing it, that the breath is comfortable. And if that means that the hands come to the ground, if you want that left leg up, just work with your body and adapt in any way you like. Now hands to the ground, feet stay high, knees apart as we come into Purna Bhujangasana. Again, quite an advanced posture for the beginning. But as you can see here, I'm not bringing the head all the way to the toes. So that connection, whether you're able to do it or not, just do a little bit less than you normally would. And also try to keep your hips low and heavy. And then from here into child's pose. I think a well-deserved one. Just let your spine get used to this. Not too much of a round after that compression. Just a lovely child's pose. And we turn our head to one side, and arms can be on the sides, by the sides of the body. And then we turn our head the other way. I always think that's very nice because when we're turning the head, we can allow the shoulders to drop a little bit lower, which might feel nice. Now slowly come up, sit on the heels, roll up through the spine. And then we're going to bring the arms up on an inhale and reach them high. And then on an exhale, we come into a really stretched out child's pose, dropping the head. Now inhale, look to the front. And on your next exhale, come forwards into that half Chaturanga or a full Chaturanga Dandayam. Knees, chest, chin, of course, is fine as well. On an inhale, arch. This could be upward dog. I think I'm maybe showing Cobra here as well, so this is where you could be from Ashtanga Namaskar as well. And then push yourself up on an exhale, coming back into Parvadasana. Breathe in, right leg goes up. Breathe out, step your foot to the front, drop your left knee, adjust a little bit the hip to be over the left knee. And then we can raise that left knee off the ground as well if we want. So both options are fine. Open up to the right side. Again, your knee could be on the ground, so this is where you could be. And then back up. And release the hands, step into a forward fold. On an inhale, rise to Halasana. And exhale, fold forwards. Inhale, right foot to the back. Exhale, drop your knee to the ground. Again, adjusting so that the knee is under the hip. But of course, we could go into a full Asana. Both are fine. Both have their advantages. Not the same posture, but two options. Because options are good. We open up to the left side. Come back to the front, and then hands to the ground, step to the back, Parvadasana into a plank, and then a little bit of a freestyle here, Chaturanga or knees on the ground, and you can see the knees only come to the ground as I'm coming to the back. That's harder for the triceps, but maybe they're up for the challenge and coming up to seated. And other side, so we inhale and raise the arms, this time not holding as long, exhale and come into that forward fold in child's pose. Inhale and look to the front. Exhale, Any variation here is fine. Chaturanga is not the be-all and end-all. It doesn't have to be this. Inhale and arch in upward dog, Urdhva Mukha Svanasana. And exhale, push your hips up. And then we know exactly what to do. We inhale and raise the left leg. And then we exhale and step the foot to the front, right knee to the ground. Inhale, arms up. So slight change here, not yet. So both options again, we can raise that right knee off the ground as well. And then we open up to the left side, and then an additional thing we may or may not want to do, drop the left hand, raise your right arm and send it to the back. And on your next exhale, hands to the ground, step to the front. And now as before, inhale, rise to standing, and exhale, fold forwards. On your inhale, again, this is the left side, so left leg goes back, Katu Pranam, or a variation of it. And we inhale and come up. We may stay here, we may tuck the toes under and raise the knee off the ground. We may then, with the knee on or off the ground, open up to the right side. And then drop. Keep twisting. Release and step into Parvadasana or mountain pose. Take a breath in here and exhale, roll forwards into a plank. Low plank, knees, chest, chin. And then push to the back. See if the knees can stay off the ground until the very end as you come into child's pose. Breathe in, come to sit on the heels, Vyagrasana. And breathe out, hands to the heart center. Inhale, arms go up. And exhale, fold forwards. Just getting comfortable here, moving the hips if you want. And then hands can come onto the shoulders, shoulder blades. And then we roll up through the spine, come to sit on the heels. We open up to the right side and drop our right hand. We push ourselves up, and maybe that right hand goes onto the heel, and we can come all the way into Ustrasana. And don't worry, we're doing another one, so you don't have to be here. The hips can be dropped much further. And we release. And a little break here to stretch out the spine. And then again from child's pose back up. And opening up to the left side. We drop our left hand, we push the hips up, doesn't have to be far. We can stay here, we can bring both hands to the heels. But again, you've got the chance later on as well, so don't think of this as the perfect Ustrasana, but just a preparation for it. Release, coming onto all fours, rounding the back, moving into the spine. And from here, child's pose, knees could be apart, hands could come to the shoulders. I'm giving you a lot of rest time here today, aren't I? And then up again. Coming into Parvadasana, we go again. Now this one's, I think it's nice. Let's see. Breathe in, raise your right leg. And on an exhale, bring the knee towards your right elbow. Hold here. Strong shoulders. Obviously working the hip. Now on an inhale, we open up to the right side. And we release. Step the right foot to the front. Right arm can drop behind you. We could bind here. This, as always, is optional. We could look to the back. We could look up to the ceiling. Do what feels best for you in the whole of the body, including the neck. And then we release and we step that right foot to the back again. And we do the same on the other side. Remember, we were taking our time here. Raise that left leg. And on an exhale, when is that exhale coming? Yes, we're taking our time. Knee to the left elbow. And we hold. So that leg has to be quite active. The shoulders are strong. The neck hopefully is relaxed. And we open up to the left side this time. Raising left arm and leg. Maybe looking up to the ceiling. And maybe not. Left foot steps to the front. We twist and we could stay here. We could deepen with a bind, but only if that feels nice. And if that's wanted by the body. If the body says, yes, please, I want to. And release, hands down, step to the front this time. Sink the hips down and then nice and gently find your way into Malasana. Bring the hands to the heart center. Now you could stay here. This is just an option that you could go for. I'm just going to show. You could go into Backbends. I think I need a bit, because I have other ideas, so I'm stepping back a little bit. Backbends, where you could hold, so you don't have to come into a headstand, but you could. And I'll just briefly show that. Crown of the head to the ground. And then really take your time. I mean, you obviously know what you're doing. You're amazing. But give yourself as much time as you need with this. Raising the toes, coming up, stretching out, and finding your balance here. And then wherever you were, make your way into child's pose. And stretch out the arms and the spine. And roll up through the spine and raise the arms. Little arch if you want. Not necessary though. And hands to the heart center. We come up, knees together for this, feet together. And this is your next chance here for a full Ustrasana. You can, if you want to, I should have shown that actually, tuck your toes under so that the heels are higher. That makes it easier. We take a little break here and then go for the other side as well. We all have a side that is maybe a little bit easier. So let's see which side is easier for you. We drop that left hand first and then right hand goes to the heel. And the hips push forward. So this is the idea of Ustrasana. But if the hips aren't in line with the knees, please don't worry, it's fine. And then we come forwards again onto all fours, rounding the back. And we make our way back into Parvadasana. Now, again, as we may have guessed, we're going to inhale and raise the right leg. And exhale, bring the knee towards your right elbow as we did before. This time, bend your arms and raise that left leg. You could stay here. You could also drop your head to the ground and then raise yourself higher up. And maybe also bend that left leg here if you wanted. So lots of different options as to what we can do. And then we make our way back into Parvadasana to check out the other side. Inhaling, raising the left leg. Shoulders strong, pushing to the back. We come forwards, knee higher than the elbow actually. And here you can see that right elbow is going in towards you. So it's resting underneath your rib cage. And again, lots and lots of different options here. One of them is fallen angel. I lost my bearings there a little bit, didn't I? And back into Parvadasana. And this time we're going to jump to the front, outside of the hands. Hands back into that Malasana garland pose. from here, we drop down and send the legs to the back into Halasana or plow pose. We could take it into Karn. This should feel nice. So this is super deep. So you'll notice the tops of the feet are on the ground, the knees are on the ground, so that there's that straight line. If that's not quite possible, that's very understandable. And sometimes arms behind the back gives you that feeling of more control. So see where you want to be. Play around with what feels best. And maybe join me in Sarvangasana, in a shoulder stand, where the hands again can be wherever you feel they need to be in order to support you enough, in order for you to feel that your breath isn't going overtime. And then drop your knees to the right side. The head stays exactly where it is. There's just that little mini twist. And then over to the left side. And even though I have moved the head a little bit to the right, it's now pushing against the knees, so it's back in its original position. And that's what we want. So don't change the position of the head. Don't put a strain on your neck. And then up from here to maybe stay or bring the knees to the forehead, and then see if you can wrap your arms around the legs. So lots of different possibilities in Sarvangasana as to where you could go from here. And I want everyone to choose what is comfortable for them. Now coming into Sethubandasana, the bridge. We can reach for our heels, ankles, pull them in and push the hips up. This is, as you may have guessed, optional. And we could also interlock the hands here, even pushing the palms away. And then raise your right leg if you want. And hips stay high here, crucially. You want the hips to guide the way up, as if you wanted that foot to go higher and the hips wanted that foot to go higher. And we change sides. And release. Now from here, slowly bring your buttocks to the ground. And we're gonna take a little moment here to stretch the legs out and bring the hands underneath the buttocks. You could come into Matsyasana. Something that I'm not showing in this particular video is you could also decide on Chakrasana. And you could go into that full fish, Lord of the Fishes, the fish pose by raising the arms and legs. And then slowly up. And we come forward, soles of the feet together, knees drop to the sides. We can come lower, we can decide whether the arms go under the legs and hold on to the feet, or whether the hands want to walk as far forwards as they can possibly go. And slowly come up, and we drop our knees to the right side and bring the hands behind us. This is a gentle version of Tiryak Bhunaman, a variation of greeting the earth pose. And you'll have not just the other side to look forward to, but a deeper version of this in a moment. But first, drop the knees to the left side, hands behind you, and drop down. Not too far, this should be comfortable. And slowly come up. And this time we go deeper, so knees back to the right side. Now deliberately walk your hands further and further behind you. You should be able to see that foot there at the back. And then drop down, but let that left shoulder also come quite low. It's hard to see on this side. Maybe I should have done the other side first, sorry. But yeah, you want that left shoulder to sort of drop down and be heavy. And the right shoulder can come up a little bit. But you'll see what I mean on the other side. Now back up. And knees drop to the left side, and we walk counterclockwise all the way over to the back here. You can grab hold of that foot as well. This is deep. And obviously that right shoulder is higher, but you don't just want to drop that left shoulder. So the right shoulder gets heavy, presses down. And we come back up. Hooray! Slowing it down now. Last few minutes of the class, we reach for the big toes and we pull ourselves down into Paschimottanasana, the stretch of the west, so the entire back body. Remember, bend your legs if your hamstrings are a bit tight. And holding on to the feet, you can push your back to the back. After all these lovely arches we've done, that may feel quite nice. And then just make your way back down onto your back into Shavasana. Close your eyes and feel the breath. This is our time to really observe the breath without any distraction from any postures that we're holding. Of course, we should always be aware of the breath, but now we may be observing that it's changing, that it's slowing down. Or just let the breath come and go. Isn't that nice? Nothing else to do. Just observing the breath. And hopefully, having worked into the body, it makes it easier to then just lie down and observe, something that can be quite tricky if the mind is very, very active. So hopefully we've occupied the mind for long enough, for those 40 minutes, for it to now be okay with just taking things a little bit easier. And then pull your right knee in towards you and guide it to the left side. Keep it quite close to your chest, to your shoulder. That may feel nice for the spine as well. And then we twist the other way. So left knee goes in first, then over to the right side. We keep it close to our chest, just like our cards. Very funny. And we release. Now take a moment to hug the knees in if you want. You can bring the arms under the knees or around. And then rock up to seated. You could cross the legs, you could sit on the heels, whatever works for you. Straighten the spine. Eyes can be closed. And we come back to what we did at the beginning. This time, inhaling, closing off the right nostril with the right thumb. Inhaling through the left for the count of, let's say, 3. And exhaling through the right for the count of 6. And maybe you want to hold your breath at the top for the count of 12. But find your own ratio. Don't look at what I'm doing with the hands. You just do whatever ratio you want. However long, but also whatever ratio. So if this in for 1, hold for 4, out for 2 doesn't work, do your own thing. And let that next round come to an end. And only when you're ready, release the hand and move into your neck and shoulders and maybe the back as well. Any movements that you might like. Last movements to wake yourself up, things we've forgotten, things we didn't do enough of. And then from here, we rub our hands together. A bit of warmth into the fingertips. Place the palms over your face. Smile, open the eyes, and bring the hands to the heart center.